So it is all well and good to spin and know how to spin and spin beautiful yarn. All of this is like super fun to make. But what happens when you are just drowning in hand spun yarn? What do we do with that all? Hey there, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia Yarns and also the School of SweetGeorgia. We have a hand-dyed knitting yarn company in Vancouver, Canada, and we're also hosting an online school for the fiber arts that we've been building since 2017. And right now we have over 115 different classes that cover everything from spinning and weaving and knitting, crochet, dyeing, tapestry. We have so many classes and so many more coming soon as well. Now, one of the things that I have really encouraged people since the beginning of when I first started learning how to spin is trying to encourage everyone to learn how to spin. I feel like it really unlocked such a huge window into the world of fiber arts when I learned how to spin my own yarn. I was a long-time knitter. I learned to crochet when I was in elementary school. I sewed my own clothes throughout high school, but once I figured out how yarn was made, it changed everything about how I knit, what kinds of projects I chose, and just different ways of working with color. There's just like nothing like the ability to make yarn exactly how you want it in your mind's eye. And so this is something that we've taught since the very beginning, is teaching people how to spin. And so recently, this past month, we've been talking a lot about fiber prep and playing with colors and fiber, blending them with blending boards, and then spinning from roll eggs. And so you can see here, I have spun about half of the roll eggs that I made. I made about 60 roll eggs recently, and I've spun about half of them. The other half has been spun into singles, and it is on my bobbin for that wheel over there. And so I just need to finish spinning all that up. But part of me is experiencing a tiny bit of loss of motivation because if I finish the yarn, what am I going to do with it? I mean, I have all of this yarn that I have spun over the past many years. Like it's literally, there's so much hand spun. What do we do with all of it? This is some of the yarn that I spun recently from those roll eggs. I did a little sample and I spun that. That's all woolen style. You can see here, this is yarn that I finished recently. This is the charolais fiber that I spun for Tour de Fleece. Really lovely. This is the salted caramel, BFL and silk spinning fiber. We dye this stuff. And then I have all of these, even like little bits and bobs. Some of these are like, this is 100 grams. This is 100 grams. This is 100 grams. This is 100 grams. And then, well, this is 100 grams. And these are just like bits and bobs left over from all sorts of different things. So what do we do with all of this hand spun yarn now? So one of the projects that I have been working on for, it seems like forever, is this one. And it's still coming along and still working on it. This is kind of my TV knitting project. So I just keep this in a basket next to the television and I will knit on this at nighttime and just knit like a few rows at a time. It's not a high stress project. I just keep going, and whatever handspun I have, I just kind of have started to incorporate it into here. At first, when I first started this project, this is called the Night Shift Shawl. It's designed by Andrea Mowry. When I first started it, I was wanting to be very specific about the placement of all the different colors, and I ripped it and restarted like 6 different times because I didn't like the color placement. And then I just decided to go with it, and I really love it now. This is like, it's happened the other time that I knit the shift cowl. This is again the shift cowl. This is also designed by Andrea Mowry, but this is in the shape of a little cowl as opposed to a big shawl. And again, like the colors kind of just mixed and combined in this pattern and worked really lovely. It just worked really well. I didn't have to think too hard about which colors were going to go with which colors. I just let it go, and I've been enjoying all of that. So this is one of the kinds of projects that I've made with handspun that I really enjoyed. The other projects were like knitting hats. I've knit a whole bunch of hats with my handspun. Actually, I knit that Flicker and Flame hat, which is again is Andrea Mowry's pattern, but I used a bunch of handspun for the contrasting color work for that hat. And I knit that hat 3 times. That was great. And I've also knit Rachel Smith's WPI hat, which is the wraps per inch hat, and that is really great as well. uses hand spun, perfect. And, I could use all of this in maybe a colorwork sweater or something like that. I could definitely do that. But those are also kind of big, hefty projects. So one of the things that I have been thinking about was, oh, how am I going to use all this yarn and use it a little bit more quickly? I want to get feedback about how this yarn is. One of the things that we try to stress is how important it is for you to use your handspun, because if you don't use your handspun, you don't know if it produces a kind of fabric that you actually like. And so, for years I was spinning worsted and I was spinning super fine and very, very worsted. And then after actually knitting with my handspun yarn, I discovered I didn't really like the consistency of the fabric that that yarn would make, because it was a little bit more dense, a little bit more crispy than I wanted it to be. And so only after having that moment of knitting it up and feeling what that fabric felt like, then I could go back and then change the decisions that I'd made about spinning it. So everything that is involved in the process of spinning, from choosing the fiber, the sheep breed that you're going to be using, or the fiber blend that you're going to be using, how that fiber is prepared, whether it is combed or carded or made into a bat or made into a roll lag, and then to what kind of spinning technique you're going to use, if you're going to do short forward worsted draft, or if you're going to do a long draw and a woolen draft. All of those decisions work up into the kind of yarn that you produce at the end of the day. Then in between your fingers, you're thinking about, how thick is this yarn? How thin are my singles? When I ply it, what will it look like? What will it feel like? How much ply twist? There's so many, so many things that go into the decisions about how to make a handspun yarn. And so only when you have a chance to work it up into fabric will you know, oh, actually, I think next time I should make it a little bit thicker, or next time I should ply it a little bit tighter, or maybe I should ply it a little bit looser. All of that thinking, all of that process comes from actually working with your yarn. But how can we work with it a little bit faster so that we can get that feedback? For me, we talk about knitting a lot and we talk about how to knit more productively and more quickly. And part of that is not necessarily to churn out more products or churn out more finished objects at the end of the day. That's not what this is about. For me, I'm trying to knit a little bit faster so I can figure out this information about the yarn, and then it informs the rest of my process, which is like how I decide I'm going to spin the yarn. So I need to get that information a little bit faster. So a while back, we worked with Debbie Held on this idea of doing a bit of a make along or a weave along, to take all of your like little bits and bobs and scraps of yarn that you've created by like playing with different colors, mixing different things, trying different plying techniques, whatever it is, and putting them all into a rigid heddle loom, and then weaving something fun and exploratory and random with it. So there's a really satisfying feeling about combining, say, like all of these colors. These are all like orangey, rusty autumn colors. These would all look great if you put them together into a warp and put this into a weaving loom. So weaving all of this together would be really efficient. You could get this done really pretty quickly. So that's one thing that you could do. You could weave it on a rigid heddle loom and go through that process. You could put this all into warp if you wanted to, and then use something else for weft, or vice versa. You could use a commercial yarn for warp if the handspun is too precious to lose to like loom waste or something. And then you could use all of this yarn for weft, and then you would have stripes of hand spun color. Or put them in both. Put your hand spun in both warp and weft. I think that would be the most fun, actually. So that's another thing that you could do with your hand spun. And finally, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm so interested in machine knitting is the ability to make things a little bit quicker so that I can get to that fabric feel. And so this is the yarn that I spun last summer. This is the Charolais fiber. We dyed this specifically for Tour de Fleece. And at that time, I decided I wanted to make a 3-ply yarn. I wanted it to be fingering weight. You can see, turned out great. I love it. And so this is going to be great for cranking into socks. So I'm going to put this one on my circular sock knitting machine and use that. But in terms of machine knitting, I also have this LK 150 from Silver Reed. It is a flatbed knitting machine that is the perfect size for working with average knitting yarn. So everything from sport weight, DK weight, worsted weight, that is the perfect sweet spot for this particular knitting machine. And so what I have done is I've taken some of my handspun and started to work up the wraps per inch hat, which is the hat that is designed by Rachel Smith. And I'm using that pattern and kind of converting it into machine knitting instructions. And so basically the most important thing that you need to start with. And so the first thing that you need to start with is you need to figure out what your wraps per inch are for any of your handspun yarns that you're going to be using. So in this case, I would wrap this yarn around a ruler, figure out how many strands fit into a 1-inch section, and then using that wraps per inch number, I would go and look at Rachel's chart. She has like a little table where, if your yarn is 12 wraps per inch, start with this size knitting needle. If it's that size wraps per inch, then start with a different size knitting needle. So I'm taking that wraps per inch number, figuring out what the approximate knitting needle size is, and then I go to my LK150 and I set the stitch dial to what would be appropriate for that size. So like if it turns out that this yarn happens to be a DK weight yarn or approximately a DK weight yarn, then I will set my stitch dial on my machine to about 4, maybe 5, maybe 3, try those different things out and then see which gauge I like the best. And so that's what I've done first. I did a super, super quick and dirty swatch here. This is all hand spun yarn. This is basically my default spinning, so this is kind of just how I spin generally. And I've marked off here with a little bit of extra yarn here. I know that this section was knit at stitch dial of 5, this one was at 4, and this one was at 3. And then what I'm doing is I'm kind of having a quick feel for what this swatch feels like. And I think that at 3, at the stitch dial 3, it's a little bit too tight. And then at 5, it might be a little bit too loose for what I'm wanting to use it for. And so 4 happens to be, I think, kind of the sweet spot for this particular yarn, this handspun yarn. So I'm using stitch dial 4 and then looking at Rachel's hat pattern to figure out how many stitches I should cast on in order to knit a similar sized hat. Now with Rachel's pattern, it is knit in the round on circular needles or on double pointed needles, but it's a hat, it's knit in the round, and then you do these crown decreases and then you're done. For a flatbed knitting machine, I basically had to open up the pattern. So if you cut up one side of that hat, you open it up and you made it flat. So I'm knitting this entire hat pattern flat back and forth, and then I'm doing all the crown decreases, and then once it's done, I will seam up the one side of that hat in order to close it and make it into an actual hat. So I've been just working on this hat over the weekend and it's gone actually very, very quickly. So what I basically did is I cast on, just with waste yarn and then ran one row of ravel cord so that I could separate out the good yarn from the waste yarn very quickly later. And then I did a double E wrap cast on for my handspun yarn. And then I knit probably about 16 rows to get about this much in ribbing. It's going to be 2x2 ribbing. So once I had knit on the flatbed machine for about 2 inches, then I basically took 2 stitches out. So trying to make 2x2 ribbing. So I would do 2 stitches, leave 2 stitches, 2 stitches, leave 2 stitches. And so with those 2 stitches, I had to unravel them to the very bottom to the cast on row and then reform them to flip the stitches and make them into 2x2 ribbing. So if you had a different kind of knitting machine where you had a ribber bed, you wouldn't need to do this step because you could make ribbing on the 2 different beds. But the LK150 is a single bed machine. It does not come with a ribber. There's no ribber that exists for this machine. So if you want to do any ribbing, you have to do it manually. It doesn't take that long. It's not that bad. And then after that, then I just knit stockinette back and forth. But because I have all of these random bits of yarn lying around, and they're not all enough yarn to do an entire hat, so I was alternating between 2 cones of handspun yarn. And so for the stockinette section, I basically did 6 rounds or 6 rows of one color and then 6 rows of the other color, and I would just switch back and forth. And now I'm just in the middle of doing all of the crown decreases. And so then the hat should be done pretty soon. So if you're wondering what to make with your handspun yarn, I highly encourage you to take a look at some of these ideas. You can find a project where you mix up the colors. You know, this is a slip stitch technique in the night shift and the shift cowl. It's great. Works really great to sort of introduce two different colors and mix them together. So that's one fun way to do it. You could also look at color work, knitting maybe this for contrast, and then maybe a neutral color as a background for stranded color work or something like that. Like I mentioned, you could do those color work hats. Find a way to use this handspun as your contrast color. And then we talked about working it up in a rigid head loom, or if you have a floor loom or a table loom, you can weave with it. Weave, plain weave. I feel like plain weave with handspun yarn is one of the most fun and beautiful ways of using handspun yarn. It feels great. It looks great. Colors mix and combine, really, really lovely. I love it. And then finally, my newest obsession is working with the LK150 knitting machine to try to work up some of my handspun yarn a little bit quicker. I have like a mountain of handspun yarn that I do want to work through this year. And if this machine helps me sort of convert more of these skeins into actual things that I can touch and feel, that will be so much better, because some of this yarn I spun years ago. So for me to go back and remember how I spun some of this yarn is going to be more difficult. So it's better if I'm actually cranking or using or knitting up yarn that's been spun more recently, because this kind of informs how I spin now, and the information that I get out of this, I will be able to sort of adjust my spinning as I continue to move forward with that. So that is basically it for today. If you are in the same predicament as I am and you're worried about spinning up more yarn because you're like, I don't know what to do with it, these are just some of the ways that I've tried to work through this entire issue. I would love to hear about how you are working with your handspun. What have you made from your Rolags? What are you planning to make from your handspun yarn? I'd love to hear about it here. If you want to learn more about spinning, fiber preparation, working with blending boards, working with hand-painted color, all of those things, please come and join us inside the School of SweetGeorgia. We have an all-access membership where you can join and watch all 115 plus classes that range from spinning to knitting to crochet to weaving, or we actually have a new offering where you can get just the spinning classes. It's already approximately 25 plus classes just about spinning. And yeah, it just gives you an opportunity to focus on spinning as a topic. If you want to concentrate on spinning for a year, that's a great way to do that. So thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right, bye for now.